Hi, my name is Tess and I am in my 4th year of studying a Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Laws. Today I am joined with Dominic Parrish, who is the Pro Vice Chancellor of Learning and Teaching. So tell us, what makes studying at Macquarie University so special?
So first and foremost, it's our staff. Our staff are committed, dedicated, very engaged professionals who are striving to do the best job that they can at all times. And you can't beat that. That's the uniqueness of Macquarie. And I've worked in many other places and I am so still in awe of the staff here and how they are so committed to the job they do. The other thing about the uniqueness and what makes Macquarie so special is that from the very top, from the Vice-Chancellor right down the line to our lecturers, our sessional staff, our tutors, we all have this commitment to students first. And the students first remit is something that right across the university we are focused on delivering against, that students first activity. The other thing is that the university, in light of that students first, have, especially recently, tried to attend to the needs of students in everything that we've done. So the current circumstance, COVID, has presented some very interesting challenges and we've stood up to it. And we've not only stood up to it, but the students are telling us we've done a really good job in response. And that's because we are so focused on students.
Okay, you talk about the COVID-19 pandemic. How has that impacted current students and how will that inform the future?
So obviously it affected current students because very quickly we had to go from a delivery mode that saw students coming on campus to an entirely online delivery mode. And that was a challenge. We took a break, we stopped, we halted all teaching for 2 weeks so that we could assist our teachers to get their learning into a shape that could be delivered online. And the teachers were very industrious over those 2 weeks. We worked from a central model where we went out and assisted them to design their learning and to develop the materials that they needed to develop very quickly. And we were able to, after 2 weeks, start to offer students new learning experiences, the same lessons, but in a new way, delivered online. There were teething problems, there were challenges. We very quickly as a university had to purchase some resources. Zoom, we purchased Zoom on a Friday afternoon before we were starting a week later to deliver online lectures. But we had this absolute engagement across the university and this consistent collaborative effort to think about ways that we could engage students, we could deliver the learning that we had been delivering in a face-to-face environment, but deliver it in an engaging online way, which of course has many challenges because engaging online doesn't seem to go in the same sentence. But certainly we decided that the need to understand if we'd done a good job, we did that through a survey, which we had 7,500 students respond to. And they were very affirming in so many cases of the efforts made by students. They pointed out some things that we could do better and do differently. And we took that on board and we're obviously going to take that knowledge forward in our planning for session 2 and beyond.
Yes. With the changing environment, what support services are available to students and future students?
So the current circumstance here at Macquarie is that we had a model of delivering support to students. I've actually started to reform that support service and we're looking at a more tiered approach now to the support of students and their learning. That tiered approach starts with a tier 0, which is where students access self-help resources. So the resources are there, they're available 24/7. It's an anywhere, anytime, just in time type approach. And students can access those services and they're very basic services. So they're, very simple help guides, but they're also things like an online support service where you can ask for some feedback on your assessments, that sort of thing. The next level of support is our Tier 1 level of support, and that comes from our students. It's student-led, it's peer support, and it's accessed through the library. So it is a physical support service. It's obviously only available through, business hours, but hopefully students will be able to come with their shopping list of this is the things that I need help with, and they'll be able to get that help. The Tier 2 support, that's where we are tailoring a little more to the general consent of this is what we need help with. So we need workshops in academic writing, in academic integrity, in being able to solve problems, in being able to access materials, work with different types of technologies. That's where we will start having workshops with academics and what we're calling learning advisors. And then our last level of support is the support that we're going to provide to our teachers to assist them to design learning that is going to also help students be successful and give students the support they need through a very scaffolded, structured approach to learning, which we know from research is a very key enabler of student success in academic writing and all those other sort of literacies that we want you to develop.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. You've mentioned new learning initiatives. Can you tell us how technology will be used to support learning in the future?
So one of the exciting things that is going to be happening on campus next year is the opening of our central courtyard. And with that comes a lot of new learning spaces. In those learning spaces, we're looking at different ways of teaching and different models of learning and different approaches to student learning. So those approaches require some very sophisticated technologies. They don't require them, but we've decided that they will be improved with those sophisticated technologies. So what we're looking at doing is embedding those technologies into those new learning spaces. So we've worked very closely with property to identify opportunities for acquiring technologies that can be assisting students in their learning. We've got things like augmented reality, we've got virtual learning, we've got programs and software and technologies that are used in industry. So we're trying to emulate that real world experience that students will be exposed to when they are out working. And we're trying to mimic that in the classroom and start to teach students the skills that they will require when they're in the workplace. We're trying to make them more career competitive.
That sounds amazing. The different things you just mentioned there I'm so excited to be a part of that and experience that. So can you just tell us how Macquarie University, what they offer to enhance learning in the classroom?
So aside from the technologies, we've also got opportunities where we're trying to modernise our assessments. So traditionally, universities focus on exams, quizzes, tests, but Macquarie University has an aspirational goal of looking at how we can modernise our assessment. And with that comes things like case-based learning and looking at problems and solving problems as part of your assessment task. We're looking at things like presentations, making presentations that you can deliver, which would be things that you would do when you're in the workplace. We're trying to ensure that the assessment tasks also scaffold the learning that students will be engaging in. So our assessment tasks are going to be designed very much around what we want students to finish up knowing and being able to do at the end of their unit and also the course.
Yeah, that would definitely be beneficial. I'm excited to, again, experience that as well. Will face-to-face lessons continue in the future?
So it is a very changing world, but also one that is difficult to predict. Where will we be in 12 months? 6 months ago, who would have thought we would have done a whole 8 weeks of session online? What we are looking at doing is bringing students back on campus, because we know, and the student feedback has very much supported this. We know students want to engage with their teachers and they want to engage with their peers, and they want that learning to be done in that social space. They want to have that social development of knowledge and skills and learning. So we're very focused on bringing students back on campus. But we also know from this experience of COVID that there are some things that we do that probably doesn't require students to be on campus. If they're going to be sitting and they're going to be taking things in, what we call didactic, it's being told to you, we appreciate that that can actually be done online. We don't need to require students to come on campus for that. But when we do bring them on campus, we want to make sure that they're engaged in interactive sessions. They're using resources, they're using the technologies, they're talking to their students, they're solving problems collaboratively. So we're looking at redesigning the way we teach so that we come up with a very distinctive Macquarie approach. That means students can be sure that when they're on campus, they're getting the very best out of that experience, and the learning is commensurate with what we want them to achieve from their units and their degrees.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to stay around. We'll be having a Q&A directly after this where you can ask any questions you might have. Hi, we're back live at Studio Central for Open Day Stream. If you're just tuning in, my name is Tess and we're discussing how Macquarie sets you up for success. And I'm now here joined with Professor Parrish, live from our studio. And so if you have any questions regarding your transition from school to university and then university to your career, please put them in the live chat bubble at the bottom of your screen and our staff will be able to get to them as soon as possible. Now, to start off, obviously you and I have both done that daunting transition from school to university and know firsthand how scary it can be. What do you think are the most challenging aspects of that transition, and how can students overcome that? Do you have any advice for them in overcoming those challenges?
So I think probably the most daunting and challenging shift from high school to university is the change in the focus of the learner. So the learner, instead of being directed and told and basically pulled through their learning, once you get to university, it becomes a lot more self-motivating. You've got to be self-motivated. You've got to instigate your learning. You are an adult, you are treated like an adult learner, and you have to behave like one. That's challenging. That's really challenging, especially if you come to university at 18. I was 18 when I went to university, and I was there to have a good time as much as to learn and to study. But there are challenges that come with that autonomy and that responsibility. And those are, well, I'm not going to have someone saying to me, where's your assignment? Where's the work that you were supposed to hand in last week? You're not going to have someone who's going to say, why weren't you at class today? You'll be responsible for those sorts of decisions, and there are consequences to those decisions. Now, along the way, the other challenge with that is that sometimes you don't feel like you've received enough information, or you don't feel like you've been assisted enough in the classes that you've had. The university has established many, many, many programs and supports and assistance that you can access if you feel like that. The challenge is that you've got to go and seek that out. The library is a good place to start. Student Connect is another place that you can go to get information. But you need to go and seek that out. And we don't want you to be sitting back and feeling daunted and overwhelmed and not try to get the help that we have available to you. There is so much help. The other thing is that often students have said to me that the services we have are fantastic, but they didn't know about them for a very long time.
Right, yes.
We'll tell you about them very, very early in your university life, and unfortunately, you'll get so much information, it will be information overload. And again, you won't remember all of the things that we've told you. So Student Connect. Student Connect is a great place to go to ask for advice and to be pointed in the right direction to where you can get those supports and assistance that you might be after.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, especially in the fact that it's a shift from always being like spoon-fed during school, and then you have to be responsible for yourself at uni. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing as well. It is really nice having that responsibility of yourself and your own study. I mean, especially at Macquarie, you get so much flexibility. Especially with your timetable, you get to pick when you want to study, and for most students, like for first year students, they might want to do it over 5 days. You might want to put it in 1 day. For myself, as a personal experience, when I was younger in my first year, I did want to spread it out, so I had more opportunity to meet people, more opportunity to go have lunch with everyone, and that was lovely. But now I'm looking at work, and I'm further into my degree. I'm trying to do part-time work 3 days, go to uni 2 days. It's nice to be able to put all my classes into the 1 or 2 days and have it more concentrated, and so I have that working opportunity. So I agree with you that it's a very daunting experience having that responsibility, but it's also great in itself as well. But moving on, do you then also have advice for parents? Because obviously, again, this is especially if this is your first child going to university, that must be terrifying.
And as a parent myself, and I've had 3 children go through university, the one thing I will say is ask your children how they're going. Are you okay? How was today? One of the best times to do that is when they first get home. If you can drop them to university and pick them up, it can be challenging sometimes to get a park if you live close, and we know that 60% of our students live within a 25-kilometre radius of the university. Might be a nice opportunity for a parent to drop their child to university or pick them up if it's late at night. That's a really good time to ask them how they're going. Ask them what assignments they've got, what tasks they've got coming up, what their schedule's like, because often those sort of little questions can lead to bigger issues, and you can start to hear what is happening and how your student's travelling, your child's travelling across their university degree. I also think that if they do have problems, that's the time to say to them, let's find out, we can work this out. And the university website's a very good source of information for parents to find out what students might be able to access if they are feeling a bit daunted or overwhelmed, or feeling like they have challenges that they can't navigate.
Yes, and in the video earlier, we mentioned the fact that with COVID, classes are online. And the good thing is that this semester, we have been able to also do in-person classes. Now, some students have loved that. I myself personally have really enjoyed going back to in-person classes because I like to be part of the Macquarie community. I like to see my friends and go have lunch after, and that's really nice. But there's other students that love the Zoom classes because either they live far away, that means they don't have to drive in for an hour shoot and then drive back home, or it means that they can work full time and do it at night even after, or slot it in a break at work, and so it's giving more flexibility to students. Do you think that option for in-person and Zoom classes will continue in the future, even after COVID?
So that's a really interesting question. Macquarie is a physical campus. It is not an online campus, and we need to make that distinction. So students choose to come here because they want to engage in social learning. The thing, though, about our social learning approach is that there are some aspects of learning that are not social. Lectures are a good example. Lectures are very what we call didactic.
I talk, you listen. They're the sorts of learning activities that really don't require you to come on campus. And they're the sorts of learning activities that our students are saying, I want to be able to keep doing those online.
Yeah.
I want to be able to keep listening to my lectures online. Students tell us how they very cleverly sometimes listen to it on double speed. So while it's a funny voice, it gets through the lecture a lot quicker, which is a useful resource for students who are time poor. But this campus is a beautiful campus, and it is built with some amazing learning spaces. We are investing an enormous amount into our new central courtyard, and the spaces that we've developed there and we've designed there are very much designed with this thought about how can we progress students' learning? How can we bring learning into the 21st century? How can we do things differently? You can't do that online. You need to be physically present to do that. And so we do have an opportunity to do the pivot, which is what so many are doing after COVID, and think about, well, what do we need to do in a fully online, what can be done fully online, and what should we be bringing students on campus for? And that distinction and that understanding about the differentials between those types of learning, that's going to be what I think we're going to embrace in the life after COVID, which is exciting. It's exciting because it's very student-centred. It's very student-focused. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a more accommodating approach to students' learning. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. You know, even just that mix, I like to watch my lectures online, especially if I'm doing my accounting subjects, because if there's a question, I can pause, I can do the question myself, skip ahead, see if I've got it right, awesome, I got it right, move forward. Or if I've got it wrong, be like, oh no, and be able to watch it through. And that flexibility is great. But also, you know, being able to go and sunbake by the lake between breaks is also lovely. And I think the fact that at Macquarie you have that mix, especially after COVID and everything that's been implemented, to be able to do online as well as get all the advantages of having such a great physical campus. Now, I've just seen that we have quite a few questions coming through, and I'll try to get through all of them. First of them is from Karen, who says, what support can I get from the university while I'm completing my Year 12? Is there any support that you can get maybe through even from us as a Future Students team? Maybe calling up Future Students contact number that you'll see often on our sites. They'll be able to help you, especially with our early entry programs. You can talk to them, they can help you structure your response, give you advice on the different activities that you're doing and what would be better than others, and they can help you there. They can also help you with what courses that you might want to study, but the majority of the support, which is so great, is whilst you're at university, such as what we did mention briefly in the video earlier, but things like CareerWise and the Career Hub and the Numeracy Centre and the mentors and the learning skills and student well-being. Do you have anything to say on top of that, or maybe even give a short overview on those different areas?
So we do also have some learning lab type programs, not across every discipline. There are, you know, they are in a number of disciplines, and they will mostly come into the school though. That's part of our widening participation program. We do have those opportunities where they will be able to support students in their learning for high school. In the future, we're looking at things like what we call micro-credentials, and it's a very well-used buzzword at the moment. If you're into politics at all, you would have heard Dan Tehan speaking about micro-credentials, and there's a lot of interest in micro-credentials at the moment because they're very, very small bites of learning that give you a digital credential that is a formal recognition of the learning that you've engaged in. So we're going to be offering more and more of those to our Year 12 students.
Right.
Down the line, the intention is, or the desire is, the aspiration we have, is that some of these micro-credentials will be able to translate into credit that students will be able to stack and use against their flexible zone. So they're very much then being able to have the opportunity to start shaping their degree and what they get out of their degree and what they want to study in their degree before they come into university. So we are looking at that. That will be into the future. That's not unfortunately available right now, but so for our current Year 12 students, that's another disappointment for them, I guess, but it will be in the future.
So when you mean micro-credentials, do you mean doing almost like university subjects at school? Is that what you mean?
So they're not subjects per se or units per se. They are small bits of learning that are really focused on an aspect of, well, they're very aligned to careers. So it might be something about communication, or it might be something about writing. Or I saw a question there about essay writing. It might be about essay writing.
Right.
And because you're going to be doing, say, 15 hours nominally of work in this sort of micro-credential, we'll be able to then say, guess what, you can translate that into 1 credit point. So you could do 10 different little bits of learning before you get to university and have a whole unit done before you even arrive at university.
Yeah, that's good. And so we've got a question also from Kerem that says, can I apply to the mentorship program before getting to Macquarie University? So that is, that's something that you do if you've been at university for a year, I believe. And so that will be once you're already a student at Macquarie University. But so the next question is, can you tell me what postgrad support there is for particular for essay writing, if any? You briefly mentioned that, but if you'd like to go into more detail about the different, like WriteWise and the different supporting, different support that we have for that essay writing and even referencing.
So we have a whole unit at the moment at the university called the Learning Skills Unit, and the Learning Skills Unit is there to support students' development of learning skills. It is what it says it is. They are able to support students through workshops, through one-on-one targeted support. We have what we call peer-assisted learning, where you work with older students who have been through the first and second, etc. years, and they're able to help you with the things that you're doing. We also have strategies to embed and build tasks into your learning that will help you develop those sorts of skills.
Okay, so yes, that's all we have time for. But I just want to say, if you're worried about that transition from uni to school, from school to university, don't worry, you're not alone. I myself was terrified. I had none of my friends coming to Macquarie University, and I actually cried the week before coming because I thought I would have such an isolating and lonely experience. And my mum was like, don't worry, just stick it out for 1 semester and we'll transfer, it's fine. Within 2 weeks, I had the most amazing group of friends. I was absolutely loving it. And I'm here 4 years later. So don't worry about that. My advice is just get involved, join the student groups, and really use those support services that Macquarie offers. And if you get involved, I guarantee you that you'll have the best time. But yes, that is all we have time for. So thank you so much, Professor Parrish, for coming and answering these questions for us. If you do have any more questions, please just use the live chat bubble at the bottom of your screen, and our staff on site will be able to answer those for you. But coming up next will be a presentation on finding your tribe here at Macquarie University, and we'll run through the different types of student groups and sport clubs and what they get up to. So see you soon.